Okay, so welcome to the history of propaganda. And I just read 37 pages of Seth's manifesto, citing all of his reasonings as to why he had to, or he felt compelled to take action. And of course, what the media does not provide is the fact that the shooting took place, as far as I can tell from the murky information that's out there, took place outside of the offices of Pornhub and RedTube. If you ask me, that's a great fucking target, okay? Pornhub, or the let's see, the distribution, or the I just had it. I had the fucking link. Anyways, it doesn't matter. I'll find it here, and I'll link it in the description. Like everybody else does. Let's see. Okay, so I didn't know Mo. I didn't. The police officer that was shot, and like when you watch that footage and he crawls behind the car, you're watching a man die. You are quite honestly watching a man bleed out. So I'm gonna do him some justice here. I didn't know him. Again, my heart goes out to the police officer that haphazardly gave another man. Let's put this in quotations, an innocent bystander, Michael Mizrahi. Again, I don't know him. I don't know what he was doing there. I'm too far removed from this, okay? The only thing that I can do at this point is to give a rebuttal and refute rather, the article put out there by Professor Jacqueline Murray. I'm calling you out right now, you stupid bitch. You're not just a piece of shit. You're an educated piece of shit, and I resent you. I do. You look at her profile picture, and she's looking down like, okay, so that makes you not just a piece of shit, but then an elitist, educated piece of shit. She has a position of she's a fellow of the Historical Society, Professor Emeritus of History at the University of Guelph. So she's basically the head of the department. Okay? I can't believe the vitriol that you put online today. Honestly. You didn't even read it, did you? You had one of your PhD students read it and then tell you what it was about. Unbelievable. Okay, and then what's the problem here is the access to information. Okay, so you have these two camps. You have one that says, okay, we should not distribute the manifesto or make it available so as not to inspire other instances of active shooters or enactors of terrorism. I would have to say that Seth was thinking about this for a very long time. I said this in another video, right? And the fact that that it was taken down. So the manifesto was available because of Ezra Levant and Rebel News Media, and my man Ezra, you did a fucking good thing by putting this out there. You really did. I support Ezra in this thing because it was completely avoidable. This was. And then the fact that everybody's lying about it because they want to support their own intellectual positions and to keep their jobs. You know how despicable that is? When it comes to being a historian, the truth is paramount, okay? It doesn't matter who what kind of conflicts you get into, right? This is just some fucking lesbian cat fight and all the fur is flying because you want to dominate the rest of these women in academia. Unbelievable. Unfucking believable. I read your article. I did. And by your description, I could be an incel. I could be an incel to you. But what she doesn't mention, and what she conveniently leaves out, is the fact that femcells were first. The description and the usage of the etymology came from a blog post published by a young woman who was feeling isolated because, well, she couldn't get laid, right? And the view, the paradigm in which Jacqueline propagates is entirely one-sided. She has this this worldview, this myopia, okay? And she's only examining it through this lens of masculinity and a combative attitude towards conventional society. That's what I get from this. And I have to say that this manifesto is not an incel manifesto. It's an argument for communism. It really is. The redistribution of pussy. All right. I'm going to open it. Sorry about that. Okay. So I took a lot of notes. Sorry, I'm just trying to find a means to prop up this camera. Okay. And there we go. And I just find it strange because like the camera's here and I'm looking over here. It's okay. Yeah. Okay, I'll eat it in a minute. My mom made me some rice and some pot stickers, I guess. My mom very well knows what I do, right? She knows that I told her this today, that sometimes I'm on here and the door is closed because I'm looking for signs of exploitation, right? Because I have the time and I have the will to do so, right? I'm not emotionally invested in looking at this pornography, okay? Because that's a hard job to do. How else are you supposed to find it, okay? I say this because of what Megan Murphy said, and how the consumption of pornography is an issue. Like the very existence of it is an issue. And I like the again then the behavior being selectively analyzed to only support cognitive preconceived notions or what's it, confirmation bias. And Jacqueline is committing logical fallacies in her article, like massive glazing logical fallacies. Okay, so I'm going to go through my notes here. And again, I was only able to obtain up to page 37. So as soon as I'm able to read beyond 37 all the way through to like 100 and whatever it is, then I'm not getting the whole picture here. And I don't think Jacqueline read the 100 pages either. You should be fired. Unfucking believable. Okay, so as I go about this, on page 4, he basically says that only spineless people support transgenderism. So you're not human. You're not a human if you view transgenderism to be a legitimate thing. Page 5, he goes through mating strategies and sexual dimorphism. Page 9, he explicitly states that monogamy is not exclusive to Christianity or one geographic origin. Page 12, I have this note to refute capitalism, because he says that capitalism was created for the bourgeoisie, right? But in reality, capitalism was intended to be a utilitarian means of market in which the people could vote with their wallets with cap, barter, and trade, not oppress the proletariat. Page 14 goes on about some bullshit about supporting communism. Page 15 is about the commodification of sex and sex work. More on page 15 is without saying, reading between the lines here, is the proximity of Jews, pornography, sexual slavery, and human trafficking to each other. And then I have some asterisks here because, it's Seth, when he wrote this, just like Jacqueline, omitted some very important details to support their positions. And when we have wars, we have physical wars over semantics. Do you know how stupid that is? We're fucking bloodshed over the meaning and the usage and the syntax of a single fucking word. Unfucking believable. Okay, so the stuff that's omitted. I mean, go ahead and call me an anti-Semite, right? You fuckhead. If that's the only argument that you have against me, then you don't have one, and you don't have an intellectual position with any kind of support. You just went straight to the fucking metadata, and you were like, okay, this is what I'm arguing about. No one can take me down. I'm the head professor of history. Everyone's gonna believe what I say, and not what you say. Do you know how ugly that is? Okay, so this is real. Okay, Jewish people. These are my notes, right? Tel Aviv is the gay capital of the world, and the historical location of Sodom and Gomorrah. Jewish people have a dominant market share of the sex trade and pornography. Generally speaking, Christianity and Islam do not support pornography or prostitution because radical Judaism is obsessed with bloodlines and lineages dating back to the Old Testament in attempts to maintain the royal dominance of Jacob and his descendants over the Goyim of the world. And that's real, whether you like it or not. Judaism believes in gender fluidity and that there are 7 genders, which is the belief system of a people that wandered in the desert for 40 years, having sex with their cousins, producing intersex babies, and serious mental health conditions. Fuck you. Okay? You dumb cunt. I'm not happy with you at all, if you haven't noticed. Page 18, the removal of women from their homes as the primary caretaker in the household in the new world of indentured serfdom to an incorporation. That's real. It's real. There was stuff going on in the 1950s and 60s with the Rothschilds and some of the early 20th century industrialists in like Vanderbilt, right, in which they wanted more workers to increase productivity. So they influenced the politics to put women into the workforce. You got to remember that these titans had huge influence on the culture and who we got into scraps with. Okay. Jewish polygamy is also on page 18. Some more bullshit supporting communism. Categorical, that's page 19. Page 21, categorical imperative of beauty and success. So he's substantiating his conclusions with a lot of very well documented pieces of academia. Okay, some high school, and page 22 is again it's some high school level understanding of popularity and excess. This is not to discredit the elementary understanding of this behavior in which young people are figuring out their identities and who they are and where they fit in society, if they are to be a part of conventional society, which is the mainstream, right? But in reality, these conceptions of the eclectic and the esoteric versus the common and the regular, right? is this is a very this is a highly oversimplified view and of like of one versus the other, a dichotomy, which doesn't really exist, and that's not an argument for gender fluidity either, because when you look into it, okay, and I'll put this in the video, right, in the links, and it's from myjewishlearning.com/article/the 8 genders in the Talmud, okay. So the Talmud, a huge and authoritative compendium of Jewish legal traditions, contains in fact no less than 7 gender designations, including Zakar, Nekeva, Andronos, Tumtum, Elionit, Saras Hama, Saras Adam. So the Jews believe, or at least this rabbi, by putting this article out there, believes that the Adam and Eve were one person from the beginning, and it was a being with 2 faces. So this is a different variation of, or a backwards understanding of creation. It's just as like mystical as the rib being removed from Adam's body to create the female Eve. Okay, so as I read from this website, the rabbis did not use the word gender as we do today, as referring to a cultural construct distinct from biological sex. The 7 genders they describe are distinguished by physical and biological realities, not cultural condition categories. But because gender has many implications in Jewish law, how the rabbis understood these categories has consequence for the rights and responsibilities such individuals enjoy in the community. So really what they're saying is anything goes, right? And too much liberty leads to slavery. So what this implies to me, with further conclusion, not to make a leap of faith here, is that Jews enslave their own people. They will enslave their own people. And they have this dominance hierarchy between the most desirable of us and the most prosperous because of their bloodlines, versus the goyim, which are the second class, or third class actually, because there's like 4 different sects of Judaism. The very top being the Ashkenazis. And guess what? Montreal has a big Jewish population. What? Wow, it just fucking blew your mind, didn't I? Okay, Montreal is also reputable for its sexual culture. That is historically because of the importation of prostitutes and whores from the old world, so Europe, so that les voyageurs wouldn't go around having sex with native women. You got to remember how few women were in Canada, in Upper and Lower Canada, or what preceded that, by New France and so forth, right? How few females there were. Because what the crown, so the royalty in Europe promised people was a plot of land, okay? A farm in the New World, if they went. And then they gave them a bursary, even, in some cases. Okay. Like, this is contextual, right? But to remove Seth from his context, as Jacqueline does, is a great sin when it comes to historical documentation. And I would actually say that she might be even guilty of presentism, which is imposing current day values upon the past in order to justify your worldview in the present. Okay, back to page 22. 23. Page 23, women are more susceptible to mental illness due to hormonal dysfunction and indeed do experience narcissism, bipolar disorder, psychopathy, or borderline personality disorder more than males do. And that's real. That's real. And that's often used as an excuse to put women on birth control. Also on page 23, again, these are my notes and my responses. Some women collect gay men like Pokemon trading cards to dominate them and feed off their resources, occasionally letting one or two see her bobs and vagin, or on rare occasion, she may even perform oral sex to keep them on the hook. But these are sexually immature men that scurry from competition with other cis-het males, and promiscuity amongst gay men is well documented, e.g. Grindr, or the phenomenon of cucking, pegging, or simping on pornography websites. So the promotion of these things. And these guys, these men that own these pornography websites, they very much enjoy their position of wealth and power. They really do. They're probably jerking off to this video right now while they're sucking a dick or whatever, getting an anal stimulation with an electrode. Like, oh, the orgasm. Okay, because what does Pornhub promote? It promotes incest. It promotes incest. It thinly veiled as having sex with your stepsister. And like I said, the Jews marry their cousins. They marry their cousins. They keep it in the family. That's the whole point. That's what happened with the Habsburgs, and look what happened to them. Okay. Page 24. Superficial. He has a superficial understanding of mate selection, and it's oversimplified to only physical traits. Next note is female hegemony over social status and the bullying of other females or males in their immediate social circles. Reference Mean Girls or The Scarlet Letter. And this is well documented amongst observations of teenagers, right? And I myself, I experienced bullying by women in my high school. I did. It didn't make me any less desirable. I swear to God, there was a woman in my high school, or at least two of them, that had a crush on me, but were afraid to say so. And that's okay. I'm sorry that we didn't go with our hearts in that time. I really am. It was such a surprise when I came to prom with a date. And in a 79 Lincoln Continental, no less. All right. So I'm going to refer at this point to Mean Girls or The Scarlet Letter, that demonstrates not only this behavior in a world of fantasy, but also a work of arts extrapolated from common day and everyday behaviors. Page 25. Honestly, it's some muggle, and I'm like some Harry Potter reference here. Some muggle shit about abundance and scarcity. Page 26. More stuff about fag hags. And then an out-of-touch perspective of teenage social interactions. And then I have an asterisk here. I fail to believe that young women have dreams and aspirations to become sex objects or to become a commodity to be bought, sold, and traded by a network of handlers or pimps. I really don't think that any woman wants to be like that. Page 29 is about situationships. Page 30 goes on about female usury and manipulation of the judicial system for individual gain, which is real. And I'll cite Diana Davidson on this one, if not Christina Hoff Sommers. Okay, page 31 is doomer perspective of getting lucky rooted in an individual insecurity. Okay, it's up to you, right? Why should a woman pick a man? That's what Peterson says. You better be something, right? You better stand out amongst your peers. And the only way to do that, and for a man, I wrote about this in my, again, I have a dissertation. I do. I have a dissertation. Okay, and I've defended it numerous times, and by all accounts, I should have a PhD. There should be a PhD on my fucking wall right now. Okay, yeah. So again, doomer is a very pessimistic, um, degenerative, and I mean, like, not like in behavior, but like the degradation of society, the degenerative uh, cycle of society, as we fall into a period of entropy, in which certain individuals benefit from the chaos or the power vacuum. Okay. In the footnotes, reference 46 on page 31 cites the negative effects of dating apps and lopsided concentration of power bias towards women, which is real. Like Bumble. Why does Bumble exist? And another asterisk here, because I went to university, right? And I would say that I was popular in university, but this was at the dawn of social media, and before the smartphone was introduced. So you either be interacted in some way socially, or you didn't succeed. No, why would anybody like you if they didn't know who you were? Okay, so despite my insecurities, I pushed myself to be out there amongst my cohorts, go to parties, make friends, and famously barf in a shrubbery. Moving on to page 32, the behavioral modification of males via scientifically derived formulas of addiction and patronage to get them on the hook, or the short con to increase profits and usage of pornographic material. So what we really have is a lack of regulation when it comes to sex work. Like, we have some laws about prostitution, or sex work as it likes to be described, because they think that prostitution is too abrasive or something. The word offends them. Yeah, okay. More asterisks. Okay, it appears that Seth is referencing the popularity of what I've coined to be transgenderism, in which young males desire to fulfill social requirements by becoming women, as your undivided attention on the internet as a consumer is commodified, and it immediately influences individual behaviors. So I'm going to reference Mr. Beast here, another university dropout, in which he figured out that he could just become rich by doing strange things, and that was entertaining enough, and that to have your undivided attention is also what these media producers, or these media hubs like YouTube, and Facebook, again, because Facebook is not a publisher, and neither is YouTube, right? They're like an ISP, right? They're an internet service provider. What they give you is a means by which you can stand on your own soapbox. They don't actually produce or fund, to the best of my knowledge, any YouTuber in particular. So it's like this distancing between the venue owner and the artist. Okay, and I've talked about this transgenderism, right? In that it became popular, right? And I have to reference here again. I have a book from the University of Guelph, and you know what it is? It's body dressing, and you know what it talks about? It talks about extreme body modification in order for you to fit the society instead of buying different clothes to adorn yourself that is appropriate to your physical being. So that's really fucked up. It's really fucked up. It's like this superiority, superior view of science and what we can do with it and what we can do with the human genome. It's just like it's like this superiority complex. It's really strange. Okay. Page 33, moving on to that. Exploitation of vulnerable men to remove them from the mating game so as to allow for more hegemony of hyper users to dominate the playing fields by convincing them that they were born women and should endure extreme body modification to raise their social status and desirability. I have an asterisk here. Next one. It is only out of fear of retaliation that we do not take action to arrest abusers and slave owners, pimps. And you know what? In my opinion, and by all accounts, the owners of Pornhub should be arrested and charged for facilitating the production and distribution of exploitation material. And then anybody that they're related to, these co-conspirators, because that's what they've done. That's what they've done. Page 34, footnote 51 is a valid and plausible observation. And then he gets into more stuff. Valid observations is page 35. My response is valid observations of how women exploit men for their benefit, yet this is not as prevalent as Seth thinks it is. So it's inflated, right? This is a manifesto is intended to be a piece of propaganda. No matter what you write in it, it's a piece of propaganda. Okay, and then I'm gonna quote myself again here, as I said earlier, that this is not an incel manifesto, and any conclusion that alludes to such is not only foolish, but should be put out to pasture. This is an argument for communism. The redistribution of pussy. And then I have no further access. Again, there's lots of feminist writings and publishings that speak in opposition to everything that Professor Murray says. So that's where I'm going to end this video. Hopefully I get further access to the rest of this manifesto. But the censorship is a problem to me because censorship is the enemy of democracy. And we need the truth in this because otherwise this is just going to keep happening and exploitation will continue. Anyways, thanks for tuning into History of Propaganda. This is going to be part one of, I'm going to call it the Montreal Pornhub shooting.